right now, 63 degrees at WCCOradio.com. That's the latest from the WCCO newsroom. I'm Al Schock, WCCO.
You're up in a minute.
Okay, so we're doing a little experiment here. We are going live on Facebook today while we are live on WCCO. I can't really find a great... Do I want to tag Andy Prasky in this video?
No, I wouldn't.
Facial recognition. I'll tag you. There, you're tagged. Let's see if it recognizes Chris Rooney.
Chris Rooney?
I didn't know they had that.
It has facial recognition.
Wow.
So we're just waiting for the show to get started. I talk quietly because I'm always afraid that the show's going to come on. It's not on air right now. There's a light. There's a light that comes on back here.
Did you introduce Denny yet?
She's doing Facebook Live.
Well, I warned Denny that we're going live. Denny over
Denny,
here.
we got Dennis back here running the deal.
Makeup.
He did, yeah.
Chris Rooney,
Here comes the
Andy Prasky.
radio.
You know,
Here we go, we're live.
going live. Let's see.
Welcome to the Real Estate Radio Hour, a forum of ideas, plans, and expert advice on all things real estate.
Yeah, sure.
Andy Prasky of RE/MAX Advantage Plus was named Super Agent by Minneapolis St. Paul Magazine.
Yeah, okay.
Chris Rooney of RE/MAX Preferred is a lakeshore and luxury home specialist. Together they cover the Twin Cities. This combined
Let me know if you can hear that.
Top 1% nationwide. Top 10 in the state of Minnesota. And still have time to get together every Saturday to talk about real estate. Here's Andy Prasky and Chris Rooney, Denny Long, and the Real Estate Radio Hour.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Real Estate Show here on 830 WCCO, where your questions are always welcome about real estate, either by phone or by text. Before we say hi to Chris and Andy, let me give you those numbers. Phone numbers, 651-989-9226, or the text number, if that's easier, 81807 for your text messages. Welcome back, guys. Let me do the usual question. How was the week in real estate? I know it was a shorter week for some. Probably not you
Which is
guys.
perfect for Chris's lifestyle. So,
You know, let's talk about that though. It was a holiday weekend
It was.
last weekend, and it was slow. A lot slower. I mean, Did you feel that?
yeah, of course.
through the weekend?
We were, what's crazy though, Denny, is that, so like open houses were slower. People are preoccupied. It's we finally have that summer kicking in. We've got that beautiful heat. The sun's out. People are having fun, right? So, but this week online, now our in-line inquiries, which we track everything, right? All of our clicks on our listings and our showings that are out, or the showing requests, all about doubled from last week to this week. So we're starting to see that online activity again. So people, when they were vacationing or they were up at the cabin or whatever, they're looking for houses again, and they're starting to wake up. It's actually going to become what I call a late spring market or early summer market here.
That's true.
Normally it slows down from here, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Well, because we haven't had that ramp up yet.
Right.
We're still waiting for it, and I think spring never happened. And so we kind of almost went right from winter to summer. And people didn't have a chance in which to get their houses ready. But I think one of the tips, Noelle Nielsen is here as well. She's with RE/MAX Advantage Plus. We brought her along, so Andy wouldn't talk as much.
Repeat offender.
See, but there he goes. He still talks.
I can't stop it.
You got to turn your microphone on there, Noelle.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
whoops.
There. So
I'm distracted over
high
here.
tech.
They're actually on Facebook Live today, too. This is
We are.
kinda
We're
interesting.
trying something different outside of the zone of where you guys are comfortable. I push it.
Yeah, big time technology here, so that's good. But it is. I mean, Facebook obviously is a huge marketing resource for us that we're getting stuff out. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. There's kind of a new little part of Facebook.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Instagram and Facebook stories, and maybe as both as agents and as home sellers, how you can use those stories to either market properties or market to each other, and the benefit of using those. So
Yeah, and there's obviously a few people are on those platforms, and so
Just a couple.
obviously, yeah, and it also allows us to be able to get maybe some specific things about a property. Obviously, I'm Noelle's Facebook friend, and so but I've seen.
Stalker.
But yeah,
Just kidding.
that's Andy. But anyways,
Selling those sunglasses
no,
on your
but
page,
doing
yeah,
some
that-
creative stuff and like selling houses just a little different way, where you probably wouldn't focus that on MLS, but yet you're creating a lifestyle. So I think it's important.
Well, what's interesting too is that nowadays with advertising, when we're spending dollars out there to put, your house in front of different eyeballs, we can actually pay to find specifics. Like with social analytics, we're actually going to these different social sites where we can actually, there's services that we can hire that actually show us the people that are on there that are most likely to be purchasing a house or most likely to be selling a house based on, when you hate to say it, you log into Facebook studies everything on your computer, and it says, boy, they were just looking at these real estate websites, or they were looking at moving companies. It puts you on a list, and then all of a sudden our ads start mysteriously being placed in front of you. We've all done it. We've all searched online for something. You Google something, and all of a sudden on your Facebook feed, you see all these ads for, like flip-flops.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you bought a pair of flip-flops, and now there's flip-flop ads everywhere. Same thing with real estate. So what's happening is that's the predictable analytic part where we can actually say, here, these are statistically the people looking for houses. Let's put statistically your ad in front of it. And hopefully, showings that are online, the clicks become showings become offers.
There's some other things too. There's this artificial intelligence stuff that's coming out now too. I was talking to this company, they use what Google uses,
Yep.
and they're predicting more. By not just, hey, I looked at flip flops, let me show you flip flops, but if you looked at flip flops and you looked at a bag of sand, they think you're going to buy in Florida, and so it learns kind of like what you're doing.
That's a scary part. And they also were talking about AI. We've got a deal where I was last summer looking at a company that they were giving. So you click on the link to the open house, and the open house uses your camera on your phone, and it puts virtual yard signs saying, go this way. Or did you see the beauty when you're walking through the house with the AI technology of that? Did you see this feature? Click on it and learn more about it. All of that technology is coming. But what happens, though, is in the real estate industry, sometimes the old school realtor will say, you know what, all that technology is fantastic. But then people make a buying decision online before I can influence them. They're not actually coming to the house. They're not actually having the opportunity to meet that client and point those things out and say, hey, did you notice how nice and close we are to the coffee shop? Or how, walk down the street with the kids to the park, or whatever there is that, that can't be put online or antiquated with a value.
But I think that becomes where people end up justifying and giving it value by adding those things on.
Sure.
I mean, the one thing we have is, the most powerful system that we have is our multiple listing service.
Right.
I mean, that multiple listing service, everyone says, oh, you just throw it on MLS. Well, just throwing it on MLS syndicates out to everyone.
Right.
And so it's still a very, very powerful thing. But I think creating the lifestyle, and lifestyle is, hey, what's the coffee shop down the street? What are you pointing at her for?
Well, again, we're doing the domination of the conversation. And I want Noelle's here as the expert.
That was you.
I know. No, this is what we get that. That's why we brought it. We want a different flair. We want a different spin on today's show. And take it away.
Yeah,
Noelle.
well, so I mean, what I was going to talk with you guys about, and I'm not sure that you guys have really started utilizing Facebook and Instagram stories, but what's happening with what you've been talking about with the algorithms is Facebook and Instagram are both getting smart. And so even if we're marketing properties online, they kind of know that. Even if you're doing it from your personal page for a client or whatever, if people see that is marketing, they'll shut down the algorithm on it. However, if you're doing it on your Facebook story or your Instagram story, those stay up for 24 hours and there is no algorithm on it. It's just people scrolling through. And so whether it's marketing somebody's property that might be coming up and another agent sees it in your stories feed, or a friend that's interested in buying somewhere and you maybe post a text in that stories feed, it stays up for 24 hours and everybody that looks at the stories will see it unless they click through it.
You made a mention of other agents and stuff like that, and we think that's super important to be able to network with them. Earlier this week, you sent me an email on some things that you had coming out, and you said, hey, what do you got coming?
Yep.
And now you've got two of your clients want to see properties that I have coming up.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And I think that's really important right now with the way that inventory has been, and it has been so low. Everybody knows that. I've got people that want to buy, but they're being very particular about what they want, and the only way to start finding those properties is to put feelers out with other agents that I know, saying, hey, what do you have coming on? I have people looking for this, and as soon as I find it, I have these properties to sell.
Right.
So it's huge to be able to network with other agents.
Yeah. So, we're going to flip back to that whole weekend, Memorial Weekend.
Yeah.
And, we had put a listing on Friday before the weekend, and it was ready to go. And, it was a listing that you'd think it would get a ton of showings on it, and we only got like 3, because people were out of town. And I was kind of surprised at that price point that maybe they would have been around and jumped in more. I can understand at the bigger price point, maybe they're out of town and doing that, but I thought that was kind of interesting because I thought it would go super fast.
Well, it was 90-some degrees outside this last weekend.
And
so
weather makes a difference.
It does. It makes a huge difference.
And I think when we go after break here, I'm going to talk about showing tips now that we're on the market. What can you do to make your house look the best?
We'll do that very thing after the break, and inviting you to join us either by phone or by text, 651-989-9226, or send a text, 81807. It's overcast. We expect showers today here in the Twin Cities. Right now, it's 63 degrees.
Listen to WCCO
To do the
Radio.
Facebook link, someone's asking for it.
Oh, it's on my personal page, but it's
Just be ready. Yeah, just be ready. Because I'll ask you that.
Can you tag or share that with our?
I tagged both of you in it, so if they search for any of us, they should be able to find it because it's public.
What about the Real Estate Radio Hour?
This week, Julie.
That's right.
Is that
I thought I tagged it on here.
Go back to the 50s. That's football?
$349. That's a 4.5-inch potted proven winner.
Yeah, I know. That should
Winners
be,
are
I
going to
think
give
that'll be
you the
fun.
nickel pass in your car.
And what a special, Julie,
Right.
you have on hanging
So it's really
baskets.
interesting at the
All
moment.
See if I can
baskets
I think
for
they're trying to
tag it here. We're still live on here.
And of course, you're the nation's leading
Trying to tag
We look
it.
better on radio.
We're trying to tag something on here, everybody. That's why we're so close up in your face.
Such a great selection.
I'll give you a break.
It'll be, they can just click on any of our names.
Okay.
If they search for any of our names, and they should be able to find it. Otherwise, I'll be sharing it to you can share this to your page after it's over.
travel to Donahue's Greenhouse in Faribault, Minnesota, where you truly drive a little and save a lot.
Dave
Dave
Meyer
Lee for
says,
Connecticut, and you love a
"Suck
good cup of
Prasky."
coffee.
What's
The
up?
best part is you don't have to spend money on fancy
When's Dave
coffees
coming back
because
on?
you can have a Connecticut water system in your home. Good water makes good coffee,
This is-
folks.
so this is
And for
behind
less
the
than you're paying
scenes.
for your
It's
daily
really
cup of coffee,
exciting.
As we
you
stare at
can
the
own a
camera.
revolutionary Connecticut non-electric whole home water treatment system.
I think you should give him a tour of the
Connecticut
studio
offers
while
great
we're on
financing
break.
programs for
Well,
less than
maybe the
$60
next
a
break.
month.
It's a
You
pull
can
through,
have
so
the
they
best
stay on.
possible
At
water.
the next
Schedule your
break,
free
we'll give you
water
guys a tour
analysis
of the
and go to
studio quick.
Connecticut.com to find a
Dave
dealer
Meyer
near
says
you.
soon.
Connecticut,
Hey,
better
Danielle.
water flows from better thinking.
Dave's a great
We've
guest.
all had that feeling. Your heartbeat quickens.
All right, I'm gonna go back over to my
Your eyes
corner.
widen. The sky opens up and showers you in a million heart
Who do you guys want to see more of, Chris Rooney or Andy Prasky?
with Spotify.
It'll determine where I angle my camera here.
So, whether it's the next breakup song
Here.
or that song you dance to at prom, we'll help you find it and fall in love all over again. Download the free app.
So basically, I wait for this little light to come on,
Spotify.
then I'll stick my headphones back on,
orchestration stories
turn on my microphone. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Seth.
needed to prepare for the future, but its IT infrastructure.
Can you guys hear it from here?
So CDWG orchestrated a converged infrastructure solution featuring Dell EMC technology. It modernized their data center
Alright.
using the industry's most
Let's see.
innovative infrastructure portfolio.
There.
Servers and storage by Dell. IT
They both
orchestration
just
by
stayed over there,
CDWG. Learn
but they
more
have
at
to stand on opposite sides for some
CDWG.com/Dell.
reason.
CDWG.
If they both stayed there, you could see them.
When was the last time you replaced your toothbrush? Do you always brush twice a day for a full 2 minutes? Dave Lee here. Paying attention to these good habits has a huge impact on your health. Introducing Quip, spelled Q-U-I-P, the new electric toothbrush that helps to fix the brushing habits that most people get wrong. Quip does this with a lightweight and sleek design. Simple tight vibrations and guiding pulses to give you a perfect 2-minute clean. Bulkier electric brushes have awkward charging stands, voltage you don't need, and cost 5 times as much. Quip starts at just $25, and you can get brush head refills automatically delivered on a dentist-recommended 3-month schedule for only $5, and shipping's free. Quip has been featured in GQ,
Hey, showing tips.
Oprah's Oldest,
Now
and
that's on
Time
market in the
Magazine named
summer.
it one of the best
Showing
inventions
tips.
of the year.
If you guys are looking for questions about houses and stuff, submit them to us. I'm reading your live comments right now, so if you submit me your comments, I can interject. Maybe, if they let me get a word in edgewise.
That's Andy. It's Andy's the problem. You know, he barks it on me too.
And good morning. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show here on 830 WCCO. Chris and Andy with special guest. And if you're just joining us, let's reintroduce your special guest who is doing nobody told us about makeup or anything.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
I'm the only one that needs it.
No, you're the last person.
I'm glad I got a meeting right after, so I'm not in a t-shirt again. Yeah. But anyways, they do want to, Noelle Nielsen with Remax Advantage Plus is with us, and they're asking what the Facebook link is, where they can
Sure.
see this.
So right now I'm just streaming it live from my personal page, and it's public, so you can go on and search for me. It's Noelle Nielsen, Nielsen. But Chris Rooney and Andy Prasky are also tagged in it. And then after we're done, we'll share it to both the radio page and the Real Estate Hour page as well. So.
Nice. Cool. We got another text question before we hit on those showing tips. Should it be a requirement for realtors to be bilingual, especially in a diverse market like Minneapolis? It would be nice.
Have you guys run into that issue?
You know, we already have a pretty high barrier to entry in this industry of a 40-hour class, and you know, I joke, but I think
what
it'd
an
be
advantage
fantastic.
to be able to be bilingual, though.
We actually, as a team, seek that. We actually are looking for agents that are bilingual. You know, some of them are, and usually people are overachievers, so they're trilingual or whatever. They'll have 3 languages available to them. So it's like, here's what we look for. We want to be able to provide service to everybody. I want customers to feel comfortable when they're making such a big decision like this in their lives. And whatever that takes to make that happen is what we're willing to do. And I think that is a great step forward in our industry, is making everybody feel comfortable that's willing to buy a house.
Within our companies and everything, that we have numerous agents that speak many different languages. So I think we rely on that as well and help out so that we can do it. So that's good.
I do happen to be fluent in Spanish. I've never really shared that with you guys, but I have a Spanish degree from college. Yeah.
Good for you.
My daughter knows it too. I'll just bring her along.
Yeah.
Anyways, showing tips that now that you're on the market. I mean, we've talked before, obviously, about winter, you know, and keeping driveways shoveled and ice off the thing and blah blah blah, adding some color. Let's throw some examples out there of what people should be doing as the hot sun is out there.
Well, you know, I look at it right now too, and we were talking a little bit before the show about all these wonderful graduation parties that are happening, and how families are spending money, effort, time, doing crazy nice things in their homes that they should have did 10 years ago so they could enjoy it. And they're doing it as their son or daughter's graduating, and they're making the improvements. I mean, man, you see everything from new flooring to paint to, you know, scraping off the old popcorn ceilings, making them knockdowns. They're, you know, doing the cabinets the way they wanted to. I'm seeing people enamel their woodwork. I'm seeing, you know, and so, of course, I have kids in that age, so I get to see all these wonderful graduation, you know, parties. And what's interesting is that they're really setting their house up to be marketable, and they're really set after that graduation party's over.
So that's why you're going to those parties.
Literally,
cards in tow.
Leaving the whole folder. Here's the folder of what you can do now that you're ready to sell. Yeah, no, but I mean but think about people in that phase of life. They are. I mean, the kids are off to college now. Now you don't need the 4-bedroom house. Maybe you are going to do a 2-bedroom on the lake or whatever. And so, what's interesting is that I don't think it's a bad idea, is what I'm saying, to talk with a real estate agent before your graduation party decisions are made, like adding should I redo my driveway? Should I redo this? Because a lot of people might be 5 years away, 6 years, 10 years away from moving, but you're making some decisions now that might affect your property value in the future.
True.
So.
True. Now, I'll ask you the question, Noelle. Is there any showing tips? He didn't quite answer that. He's trying to list the house. Yeah. Just pretend they're listed right now. And then
cheers.
And then now we can, but there is some real important things. And I'll tell you, I think one thing that's real important is a lot of people, prefer to have their windows open. You can't do that. It has to be a consistent temperature.
Yeah,
especially
actually,
in this heat.
I was just going to say that. I've had a few issues this last week with a listing I had where they still hadn't turned their AC on, and it got kind of muggy and humid in there, and that does play into how people feel as they're walking through a house. If we as Minnesotans are very temperate, we need to be in just one specific temperature. It's either too hot or too cold. And if you can maintain that temperature,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, no, I think a lot of us are kind of like fresh produce. But here, think about this. So now you're out there and you're walking through and you want to walk through a new house and you're outside. It's 85 degrees. You're warm. You come into that model home or that open house. If the AC is barely keeping the house cool because the agent wants to be comfortable while they're sitting there, I disagree with that. I think they should have it cranked. They should probably have it down at 68. Get the house cool so when people walk in, they go, oh, the nice air. It's actually an experience, right? It's part of it. And then they're only there for 5 minutes, and by the time they cool off, they're leaving anyway.
I might say it's energy efficient too.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's too warm and the AC's on, and it's like, oh, geez, maybe it doesn't work or it's not insulated well.
A lot of things are said without words, and that's an example of exactly what we're talking about.
How about this one, you guys? So I think it's really important. I think this is something people all forget about. They think that it just has to be prepared when it's being shown. And so we've had some clients that like to leave their garage door open. And then the kids like to all park in the driveway, and so it's filled up. And so you can't do that. I mean, because people are driving by it. After they see it online, they might be driving by it before even an agent does it. And they'll say, oh, there's not enough parking there. And the garage is too messy. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, or they'll be checking out the neighborhood and, looking at the landscaping, making sure that it has been well maintained. Definitely. There's a lot of drive-bys usually before there's showings.
Andy, you've talked about this before, but where they edge it, literally on the driveway and along the sidewalks where it's a clean edge.
Oh, my neighbors are
that.
smirking right now. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a big believer in clean lines on landscaping and stuff because
right.
I like that. But see, now you'll get somebody else that doesn't like to have it like that, but I like my yard to look like a crew cut. I mean, I want it clean and tight. I want the edges cut. I want it, But if you're going to care, you might as well care a lot. And then people come over and say, wow, this is a nice yard versus the, and then there's not an emphasis put on that.
All right, tell you what, we need to take a break. We have another half hour of the show to go, so don't go away. 651-989-9226. Text is 81807. Folks on the line, don't go away. We'll get your questions answered when we return here in a moment. 63 degrees. We'll get that forecast straight ahead.
All right. Should we do a tour? A little tour behind the scenes? Because I know before I was on here, I was always curious.
Okay.
What it was like back here.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just get this unplugged. All right. Where are we going here?
And that's our tour. So
you can see why I always agree to come on the show with
let me
you
do
guys.
this. All the camera for you.
Well, it's kind of, it will fall out of there.
Here's that forecast for the Twin Cities. Showers and thunderstorms likely today. We expect highs near 69 degrees. Overnight tonight, another chance or two of showers. Lows of 54. Then for your Sunday tomorrow, mostly sunny. Highs near 72. Sunshine returns Monday. Highs near 83. Then right now, southeast winds at 17. Dew point 55. 63 is our current CCO temperature reading. Denny Long here. We talked about this earlier this morning. In fact, in one of the real estate shows recently about the damage water can do to a home if you're unaware that there's something leaking. Could be your washing machine hoses, could be anything. Well, Tom Meehan, local guy, created this system. It's called Water Leak X Systems. And what it does is it'll even shut off your main. If you're gone somewhere, you're on vacation, at your other home, whatever the case may be, this shuts off your water, sends you an instant text of where that leak is, and it works on both city and well water as well. This is the best system, and there are so many out there. But this is without a doubt the far superior system that would really save you a lot of money and a lot of grief. Tom will even finance it for you. Here's his number. Give him a call today. You'll be glad you did. 1-800-374-9441. That's 800-374-9441. Ask Tom about the Water Leak X Systems.
So we always have to watch this light because when it comes on, we have to be quiet about how loud we talk or don't talk at all.
Want to see the text thing? Show them that.
The text thing?
The text messages.
Yeah, so you text the show?
Oh, yeah. Let's see that. Where is it?
There's all the text questions.
Whoa,
Got
cool.
a phone call that's waiting. We're going to answer that next.
I can't wait. Going live with the phone calls.
Nice.
For over 25 years, Safe Basements of Minnesota has been repairing
I don't know what any of this stuff is, but there's.
Jesse Treble.
I just referred safe basements out.
This is the one room we're not allowed in because Chris likes shiny lights and he's not allowed to touch any of those lights. So,
Funny guy.
funny guy.
Oh, yeah. Hey, by the way, next time answer my question.
I'm on agenda here. I don't need your agenda.
You're invited to the 2018
Jeff, I was thinking about talking about Waconia and hunting and fishing. Do you have any advice?
How your legal needs affect your health.
Obviously, Jeff's a conservative hunter fisherman.
Cindy Como, the owner of
So Jeff lets all the animals run free and the fish swim away. He loves animals.
See, these guys, they stand on opposite sides of the station, right?
If you receive any suspicious emails, stop.
So I can't get both of them in at one time.
You should go in and check out this keyboard over there, too.
Feel free to call
What keyboard?
651-779.
Next, after this break, people are going to be dying to hear that keyboard.
It just doesn't get any better than this. Pleasureland RV's largest RV sale ever.
According to our union, we have to protect him.
All 6 Pleasureland locations.
This is where it all happens right here, man.
Biggest savings ever on more than
You got control over here.
1 minute.
RVs. If it's
1 minute.
it's on sale. Like a new 2018
Get this plugged back in, because my phone battery is hardly lasts these days.
Shop Minnesota's largest lineup of motorhomes and towables from Keystone, Grand Design, Winnebago, Thor,
I told you that you'd have time to prepare an answer. And then Noelle will be able to talk.
Start your summer fun. Join the largest RV sale
I'll find time to
going on
talk.
now through Saturday in St. Cloud, Ramsey, Brainerd, and Long Prairie. Open Tuesday through Friday from 8 to 8 and Saturday from 9 to 5.
You got the
We
talk.
got some good. We should say hi to all those guys.
Online at pleasurelandrv.com. Stock numbers 811-GT.
Why don't you do
Walleyes are biting in Waconia, he says.
Fees on proof credits. See dealer for details.
Jordana here. Story trending online about why more people aren't moving to Minneapolis-St. Paul.
And I want
What's
to prove
it
that
really
it's
like
not
to
my
be a
mom
transplant
on
here?
there either.
Let's talk Monday at
And Chris's mom. We
3:35.
actually
I
have more
start
than
at
one
3,
phone.
live from the Carrier Cooling Studio on News Radio 830 WCCO.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show here on CCO, welcoming your real estate related questions, always like we do every week. By phone or by text, I see one line is open if you'd like to fill it, 651-989-9226. Let's go to the phones. Tim has been waiting there in Dassel with a question. Tim, thank you. What is your question?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. Say we have a beautiful 10-acre lake place for sale in Dassel, and it's been on the market since about January, and we keep hearing how tight the inventory is, but our real estate agent has only had one showing. And so I'm kind of curious, what can we do to help motivate him more?
Let me ask you a couple questions here. First of all, what price point are we talking?
Under 400.
Okay, 400K. So a house that's been on since January, so what, a 5 going on 6 months right now, and only have one showing. It's happened. It's happened to me as well. And I think and I think some people always say it's the realtor, but sometimes it's how it's portrayed online, or maybe that, hey, people are just rejecting the price. And some people say, hey, you know what? I mean, it's $800,000, and we haven't had anyone tell us yet that it's not overpriced, but they're telling you by not going to it. Noelle?
Well, and another thing that I would say is as we were talking about earlier, internet traffic does drive people to properties. So the first thing I would do is kind of go on and analyze the pictures. If you said that it's 10 acres, maybe you need some aerial photography if you don't have any, just to show off what the property is. And double check through that description and make sure that you're hitting on all the key points of your property to try to drive those interested parties in there.
For sure. I think the other thing there is look at who is your key buyer. Are they buying acreage for horses? Are they buying it for dirt bikes? Are they going to buy it just to store all their used cars? I mean, I jokingly say that, but everybody has their own reason why they want to have 10 acres. The lake itself, is it a recreational lake? Is it a quiet lake? Is it a look at it pretty lake? So lakeshore can be defined as a million different things. And so what I would say is this: you probably need to re-strategize. I'd probably sit down back with my agent, and I would ask them for some ideas. I would even ask if their agent could bring along a couple other people from their brokerage, and maybe they throw around some ideas and get you back on track, because right now is prime selling season, as Chris would point out, and on the lake, and maybe there's a way they could do a little more investing into the marketing and get you some different results.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, we've got 3,500 acres, 3,500 feet of shoreline, a private island. It's a super easy commute to Cargill. I would just think it would have gone by now so easily, you know?
Yeah.
Is it a nature lake or is it recreational?
Well, it's a 110-acre lake, and we have the only access to it, so it's a totally private lake.
Okay.
Wow. It's pretty cool. Sounds pretty cool.
Wow. There's you guys haven't seen the property, so there's a lot of variables that we don't know about. But good luck.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
651-989-9226. Text is 81807. You got one there?
Yeah, why don't we see this one? What about selling a home as is without the various paint jobs, new carpet, etc.? Okay, so we talk about that. We talk about that a lot, is getting your home prepared in which to sell. Obviously, you're going to have people are going to want that stuff done, and how much they think it's worth to do that is a heck of a lot more than what it's typically worth. So by not doing carpet or paint, you're just going to suffer on the price.
Yeah, I always say before you do anything, make sure you get a couple opinions from some agents on what they think the value currently is versus what it would be if you did a certain number of items to your house. Because sometimes in this market, it doesn't make sense to do anything at all. It just makes sense to hit the market.
It's funny. We have, so I'm getting rid of our rental properties, and I have this one, and I'm like, well, I got to fix it all up, and I got to make it perfect. And my wife's like, I think you should really just try this. I'm like, you don't tell me what to do. I'm the realtor, and I know exactly what I'm doing. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it.
My shirt doesn't match my
I'm going to show her. So I put it on, and we got $12,000 over full price, and it sold right away. And I was like, whoops. But there is. I mean, you hit it right on the nose. But I'll tell you what we did do is we totally decluttered and made sure it was perfectly clean.
Yes.
And I think that's super important.
That still really does matter. Because people want to know that the house has been getting taken care of.
Yeah. I'm curious what you told Andy during the break. He hasn't spoke yet.
You guys have my microphone shut.
I gave him a candy.
Okay. Here we go. We got one that I think is talking about our Facebook stuff. It says they live in Glenwood, Minnesota. So
awesome.
My family does too. 6 miles from Alexandria. I built a brand new retirement house with guest home on the lake. I miss the Twin Cities and children and want to come home. How does a realtor target retirees that want to buy it? It's at $714,000 with a separate little guest home. Sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, probably Lake Minnewaska, I think it's over there.
Yeah, it is.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's a great lake, man. When we were kids, we used to drive. You come into Glenwood. I don't know if any of you have ever been out there. Mm-hmm. You come into Glenwood and you see the whole lake. It's just a beautiful drive in. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, that's a nice destination because it's not super far either. We talk about that, people buying cabins, but that's a great targeting one right there.
Yeah.
Because you have something unusual. You have that extra little cabin that goes with it.
Well, and you might not be trying to target a retiree. You might be trying to target either a young family that just wants to get away for the weekends, or even an investor that's looking to grow their VRBO portfolio or something similar to that wants to have summer and winter rentals conveniently close to the cities. So you could run a couple different Facebook ads for something like that.
Here's what I think is kind of interesting, Mr. Prasky, is that's what, on the MLS, we're trying to attract everyone. But I think that's what we can do with social media is be able to go after, say we want to really target that retiree, say we want to target that executive that wants that second home. Or that we want to target that person that, hey, just wants, a place to go on the weekends.
Well, and the other thing is too, Chris, I know all of us here in studio, we all collaborate with agents from different parts of the state where we work together in conjunction, where we'll market properties too. I mean, if we have where we'll do a co-listing with somebody, for example, and they're up in the St. Cloud market, or they're all the way up into, Alexandria, for example, we have a couple up there. And we don't necessarily have the ability to show the properties, but we may be able to bring in a buyer from the cities. The collaboration there between the agents, I think, is the key there, is that getting the information from the agent, up there in Glenwood, down to some of the agents in the cities here that could actually probably hand you a buyer that's looking that never would have thought of Glenwood, because most people don't think of the word, Glenwood, they think of Alexandria. And Alexandria, and it's the chain of lakes and and they don't necessarily think of Glenwood. It might be, but now the people that go there, like I just described, you go there, you'll fall in love with that. It's a cute little town. It's a great elevation. It's a beautiful, long, beautiful lake. Great fishing. I know a lot of my mother's family's from up that way, and we've been camping out of that lake before, so it's great. So.
We went to the same bar restaurant twice when we were up there. I can't remember what it was.
Because you got kicked out of the other one.
I eat barbecue trips. So. Nice. Yeah, it was good. All right, what else? We got any more of those yet? Oh, that was the various paint jobs. I was going to kind of play off of that text actually with painting. And I'll tell you what, you see a lot of houses, and you see them online, that all the rooms are different colors.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when that happens, it confuses people. You know, when you see them in just a bunch of pictures, it might look great in your house. And even if you have that and keep that, you might want to keep some of those pictures out. So it might look really good inside, but online, it confuses people.
Yeah.
You ever seen that?
I agree. Plus, when you're going through the house, if every single room is a different color, it makes that house feel a lot smaller as well.
Well, and have you ever looked at online photos, and no offense to us agents, but the agent that stands in the doorway and takes the picture of the bedroom where you can see one window and half of a bed, that doesn't sell a house. I mean, now, if you were in the room and you utilize it as a walk-in closet or a nice bathroom or whatever, and then you get that shot where you can see that, oh, there's a connected bathroom or whatever. I think photography a lot of times, and Noelle, you can probably appreciate this too. I mean, I just don't think it's done correctly. It's not, you're not helping people visualize the flow of the house. You're just trying to show a bedroom. Well, who cares? It's like, what does that bedroom offer that's unique or whatever? Otherwise, bedrooms, I think a lot of times, or even the straightforward picture of a bathroom or something, photos can be done really wrong.
That's true. And a lot of people now, because we have these cell phones that take good photos, a lot of people are skimping and going through and taking photos of their homes with their phones, and that's not really acceptable. It needs to be professionally photographed. And the other thing I would say is, just because you can put up to, I believe, 24 photos on the MLS does not mean that you should put all 24 photos. You should, show the house in its best light, but you don't necessarily need to show that, utility room or whatever.
Yeah. In a past life, you actually did wedding photography.
I did.
And you were very good. And you would capture like little moments of stuff. And I think that's, if you don't have 24 great photos, capturing like the railing, that's super nice, or a cabinet area or something like that, just like you would.
The detail.
With the two hands sitting on top of each other with rings. It signifies a lot.
I didn't ever take that.
Okay.
Photo.
That was a great photo.
That, you might have those.
I had that when I got married, like in 19.
Or the behind the scenes where the bride and the groom are laughing at each other, capturing the moment. And I think that's something that we lose in housing is when we market that house, we're trying to market something that doesn't have a personality, other than, maybe the colors or the textures or the whatever. We actually are selling something that creates memories, and sometimes, like Chris, you said, it's a lifestyle. If you sell the lifestyle, so now the house, the picture of the guy up in out in Dassel, I think it was, the house, selling that lifestyle of, maybe they show a guy taking off from the dock with his fishing boat and going out there in his private lake and saying, I got the whole lake to myself, and that kind of a video sets the tone, sells the lifestyle, and it's more than just a house now. Now it's your life, and I think that's one of the things that's the hardest thing to capture in photography. But a lot of times we just make it a utility because we have to.
I think I want to hit one thing, Danny, before we go to break. But that's why I always talk about the staging's one thing, positioning's the other. And when you add all of those other things in, that's what I'm talking about when we talk about positioning, because it all goes together.
651-989-9226. Text is 81807. We'll take a break. Be right back on the other side with more of the Real Estate Show here on 830 WCCO.
Listen to WCCO Radio anytime, anywhere. Download the radio app.
5740.
Awesome.
Your basement to flood. Call Safe Basements in Minnesota. That's the way keeping it running for weeks may only get worse.
We don't need a referee.
Oh yeah. It's time to get pumped up.
Yeah.
Let's strong finish here. Strong finish. Any of you guys have any questions? Nobody is really anything anybody want to see here at the studio or know about from behind the scenes from the studio?
No.
There's
one.
Oh, we got a comment.
Like a new Smoker Craft 171 Pro Mag. Yamaha 115 4-stroke, roller trailer, trolling motor, and locator for only $24,990. That's right, a new 17-foot boat, 115 horse
Let's show them the behind the scenes in the.
Is Andy wearing a button down or a zip up?
Arguing about traffic.
Oh, let's show the view from the window. Let's show it. Do you guys want to see the view out the window? Come on, quick! Hurry! We only have like 2 minutes left.
This is super exciting.
Sure.
This is a street.
This is downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I mean, we might have some people that aren't from Minneapolis watching.
That's a big building next door.
Andy, in his back in the day, wanted to be a commercial broker, right?
Yeah, did make it.
Didn't make
I
it.
did the background check. Here, check out this keyboard.
Yeah, let's check this out.
Our soundboard.
Whoa, cool. They won't let me any closer than this, but.
For legal reasons, yeah. Out this window, you got buzzing. I don't know if you can see through these clean
Buzzin'?
windows. The country station
Oh yeah, the country station.
must be on autopilot this weekend.
Are there ever shows that go on at the same time?
Yeah, they'll be in here recording sometimes when we're in here doing our thing.
Oh really? So secret. Do you always record live?
We do. No, we don't.
They don't.
30 seconds and Chris is gone. So
Chris is missing. 30 seconds. Chris sometimes goes missing.
You don't let Andy talk by himself. Oh my God.
When you need to know
Here he
what's
comes.
going on
Run
in
it.
your
Run it.
depend on trusted information.
We almost made it. Less than 30 seconds. Come on, buddy. You can make it.
Hi, good morning. Welcome back to this portion of the real estate show. If you have that kind of a question, by phone or by text, 651-989-9226. Text is 81807, 81807. If that's easier for you. All right, you have one over there?
Yeah, I found one there. Who's responsible for the inspection, the buyer or the seller?
Noelle?
Well, it depends upon what you mean by responsible, but the buyer is the one that hires and pays for the inspector. Depending on what happens during that inspection and what's discovered during the inspection, then that's when you can negotiate out who is going to pay for what and who's going to fix what.
Or accept.
Yep, or just accept it. And in this market right now, it's not necessarily a good time to try to come back and renegotiate after the inspection. Sellers may just get frustrated and go right back to market.
Well, we used to have I call it the honey-do list, and you know, all the things that you want to do with the property. The thing is that what you should do is take your agent when you're buying a house. I say do a market analysis alongside of your actual home inspection to determine the condition it's in. Is it priced right? Just because it's for sale doesn't mean it's priced right. So, you know, when you have a property that, you know, is on the market, it has some things that need to be repaired, you can put that into the equation, and you still might be buying that house at a fair value if you do the market on it. You take a look at the inspection, and you just make sure that the two match up. But, you know, I always look at that as when people take the inspection as an opportunity to come back at every seller, every time, it gets annoying. And it's like the homeowner knows the condition of the house because they put it up for sale in that condition in an effort to maybe save them the headache of having to deal with it. Or maybe they priced it correctly so that somebody else could experience that opportunity to fix it themselves at a fair price.
And it's really the inspector's duty to tell them everything they possibly can.
Right.
But I think it's also, you know, the agent's got to kind of set the expectation to be able to do that.
There you go.
I think the other thing, kind of a variation of the whole inspection part, is that there is time of sale, you know, truth in housing reports that have to be done, and the seller obviously is responsible for those at the beginning. So.
Yep.
Okay, real estate listings with only one picture, I don't consider. Usually it's an outside picture, so I ask, what's wrong inside?
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, that's very true. And here's another thing that happens, is if you have a picture of the interior, that's the first picture, what do you automatically think? The front of the house must be ugly.
Yep.
You know, and so and it might be the greatest thing, but that's what people think. And so I always say, if you're going to do that, do it, but follow it up right away with the
So
front of
let
the
me
house.
be a contrary. So I've done that before, where we've had a house where we have all these beautiful photos. We put too much information out there. We had the virtual tours, we've had the whatever, and you don't get showings. I've gone back to the point of where I look at out of the photos, you can actually see the clicks counters, and I'll say, okay, these are the two photos that got clicked the most. I'll pull all the other photos except for those two photos, and I'll put those out there, and all of a sudden I start getting showings, Chris. You know, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm not giving all the information, and sometimes that curiosity makes people say, you know what, let's just go see it because it's in the right price range, it's worth whatever. Yes, it may be frustrating to the average consumer. Good though, because we win the game, we get showings equal offers. You know, we're not paid to have people like us; we're paid to sell our clients' houses. So,
Going down to 2 photos, that's pretty aggressive.
I go down sometimes to 1, and I don't leave it there for 6 months. You know, like some people can, but I do it for a couple days to see what happens. If we see a difference in the fluctuation or the traffic counts or whatever else, then we'll go back to regular photos. Because sometimes there are flukes. Like we said, there's vacationers now that are looking online where they weren't last week. And so, anyway.
And photos are so important, and sometimes, MLS rules require us to get a photo in right away, and maybe you don't have all the photos, and you're just throwing that one on just so you have something rather than no photo. And then but the next thing is that we were going to put a listing on Friday, but we didn't have a couple photos that we needed. That I said the first impression, the first impact, we had to have those, and so we backed off the listing until we have those photos and can be able to go live. They're completely ready.
Yeah.
We were going to plan on an open house on Sunday, but then we switched it.
You only get that first initial email going out to all the people that are set up on an MLS search that are getting those daily emails. That first initial email only goes out one time. I have a question here on Facebook Live.
Oh, wow.
Somebody asked.
Let's do it.
They wanted to go back to showing tips, and they asked if we thought that making fresh cookies would make a difference.
Chris and I, it does.
Hey, I was in Ridgedale Mall last night. They were giving donuts away everywhere. It was awesome. I bought a pair of shoes.
I was going to say, that's a whole marketing business model for Auntie Annie's pretzels. They just blast the smell of fresh pretzels into the mall. I'm telling you, whatever stimulates somebody to pay attention, do it.
I've sold a home off of the sellers had written a very sweet note and had made homemade fresh cookies and wrote, it was a second showing that I was bringing these people through. It was actually my brother. And he ate the entire plate of cookies and then made an offer on the house. So
It keeps them there too.
Well, yes, I agree. So people usually, when are they showing houses? They're running from work, they've been in traffic, they're in their car, their kids are grumpy, they grab them from daycare, and then they're doing a showing in the evening or the whatever. Cookies calm everybody down. It gives everybody something to chew on, something to focus on. The kids gives mom and dad a chance to actually look around the house. I had one agent that a couple years ago really did an excellent job of wowing us with the second showing we had. They said, you guys, take some time. With the first round they had the cookies, and we walked around the house, and I'm sure we dropped crumbs everywhere. Like, you can't be mad at the client for that, right, or the buyer. Then the second time we came back, they said, hey, go ahead, we have a special surprise for you guys out on the deck. And we went out onto the back deck, and here was a bucket with a nice bottle of wine in there, and said, have a seat and enjoy why we actually bought this house. The sunsets here are spectacular. You're right on the park, and I was like, what a complete class move. My people actually sat down. They poured a glass of wine. The kids are screaming and yelling and running around, and I took those guys. I'm like, let's go play on the equipment in the back. And mom and dad actually sat there. We wrote an offer right there. I mean, it was like you put them out of that element of buying something into, we're living here, and this is awesome.
And doing that kind of stuff, I mean, what's your perception of the seller? That they're really good people, that they must have taken really good care of that home, and you know what? We really don't want to insult them with a bad offer.
Because you care about them now.
Yeah.
And it creates that trust there. You kind of trust them because they
if they give you a cookie, you can't take them to the cleaners on price.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Depends on what kind of cookies you are, I guess. But
all right, what else do we have? So we got open houses.
Mm-hmm.
I got open houses. Lots of open houses. Got a new one to talk about that in the use of video. We got a new one that's on a little over 4 acres, but it's in the middle of the woods. And we got a video that goes right down the driveway and then opens up, and it's on this really cool pond.
Nice.
$895,000 in Credit River, Spring Lake kind of township, Prior Lake.
When is that open house?
12 to 2 on Sunday.
All right. I have an open house from 1 to 3 on Sunday at 12746 Foliage Avenue in Apple Valley, right next to the zoo. Also butts up to a pond, great school district, and it's at $435,000. And I'll be there 1 to 3.
My team is open house animals, Denny. They are out there every weekend doing open houses Saturdays and Sundays. And so just go to my website, Prasky.com, take a look at there. And then, the Facebook stuff, guys, real quick, we got a couple seconds left, but the Real Estate Radio Hour 830 is our Facebook call. Like that page, and then we're going to start doing some more Facebook Live stuff. How do we get a hold of you, Noelle?
You can go on my website, which is brightbirchgroup.com, or you can look me up on Facebook, like I said earlier today.
How about you, Chris?
You didn't let me talk about my other open house in Northfield. Tannin Valley Drive.
Walk
out Rambler, 489.9. Beautiful house on a pond.
Salesman.
All right.
And another one in Prior Lake on a pond. So
Are we going to be back next week?
I think so.
Okay.
We'll see.
This is a lot of work,
We don't
Danny.
kill each other on the way out.
Let me know midweek. All right.
We'll
Thanks
call
very
you.
much. All right, good deal. 63 degrees in the Twin Cities. Our real estate show will be back next Saturday morning at 10 here on 830 WCCO.
Listen to WCCO on FM at 102.9.
When are we going to get kicked off here?
All right. Well, that was the Real Estate Radio Hour.
I'll be the first one gone.
Really fast.
I've already got the phone call. Got fired.
I'll be replacing him hopefully, and yeah. Thanks for joining in with us, you guys. And like we said, we'll be sharing this to our pages. And any last words, Andy?
Thank you.
Any last words, Chris?
No, thank you. It was interesting.
Yeah. I push them out of their comfort zones, and now they kind of liked it. They kind of liked.
Andy was much calmer during the break.
Well, he actually gave away a hint today. He said cookies calm everyone down, so I'm gonna remember to have cookies in my pocket for him.
Yeah. Off to the graduation parties.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.